Time cycle through time and space X, dreaming of myself constantly dying, but every time I wake up, I am still alive. This kind of real and unreal dream happens every day, and upon closer inspection, it seems like it has been happening continuously for a long time. In my dream, I can always see the figure of that man. He seems to have been trying to save her all along, but every time he fails. Wait for me. I can definitely save you. Live well. And always remember me. Lin Meng Meng seems to hear these words every time. Is this a dream or a man she imagined? It wasn't until one day, when the man truly appeared in front of her, that she realized that those things before were not dreams, they had actually happened. Her destiny was to die on that day, just because the man was unwilling and reluctant. She saved her time and time again. She knew him a long, long time ago. Keywords of the novel. After being forced to loop endlessly, I saved the white moonlight without a pop-up window. After being forced to loop endlessly, I saved the white moonlight TXT complete collection download. After being forced to loop endlessly, I saved the latest chapter reading of White Moonlight. Chapter 1. Doing an important thing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Doing an important thing. It's late again. Wait for me. Do it again. Definitely next time. No matter how many times you try again, as long as you can. We must work hard to live. Lin Meng Meng suddenly jumped up from the bed because she had just had a nightmare. At this moment, she covered her chest and gasped for breath, sweating profusely all over her body. She was wearing the pajama that was already soaked in sweat, sticking very thick to her body. She looked at the familiar and pitch-black room, and kept repeating the dream in her mind. With a sudden reaction, she checked her entire body and found no broken arms or legs, no bleeding, everything was normal. Only then did she reluctantly breathe a sigh of relief. The image in my mind cannot be erased. She dreamed that she had died. The appearance of death is particularly tragic. She only remembered walking on the streets of Nuoda, and then a large truck hit her. When she realized it, she was already lying in a pool of blood, convulsing with pain all over her body, and blood kept flowing out of her body, unable to stop. She wanted to get up from the ground at that time, but her arm was so painful that she was paralyzed. She wanted to shout for help, but blood kept gushing out of her mouth and her vision became increasingly blurred. The feeling in this dream is like what I have truly experienced. When she felt like she was about to die, a person suddenly appeared, surrounded by a strong white light. The headlights of a large truck illuminated her surroundings, glaring and making her unable to open her eyes. But Lin Meng Meng felt that the light seemed to follow his appearance, gently enveloping his entire body. The dazzling light around him was terrifying, and his outline was depicted very clearly by the light, but unfortunately his face could not be seen. He gently lifted her body up, held it in his arms, and even uttered those elusive words. In the end, she saw the person crying. A tear fell on her cheek, warm like the blood gushing out of her body. But isn't this a nightmare? Why does she feel so real? Are you late? Do you want to do it again? Live well. She sat on the bed, murmuring through the words she had heard in her dream, and finally got out of bed holding her head. She murmured again, what and what? Why did you have such a strange dream? It's really true. She planned to take a shower and wash away all the sweat from this messy dream. The next day, Lin Meng Meng told his friend Zhao Lin in the next class about this matter. Zhao Lin patted her shoulder and asked closely, really, or not, is that man handsome? Lin Meng Meng's mouth twitched and said, I've told you before, I didn't see his appearance. Zhao Lin pinched her chin, pondered for a moment, and then asked, isn't it your peach blossom? I remember online saying that if you dream clearly about that person's appearance, or what they say to you, and you remember certain phone numbers, coordinates, and locations that can be searched for in the real world, then it proves that that person wants to take you to the underworld together. Lin Meng Meng trembled violently, patted Zhao Lin, and muttered, what are you talking about? Don't scare me, okay? Didn't I just tell you I didn't see that person's appearance? Upon hearing this, Zhao Lin waved her hand and said, then there's no need to worry. If those people I saw in my dream can't remember their appearance when I wake up, it proves that they're still alive. Lin Mengmeng hurriedly said, stop talking, stop talking. It was originally a dream, and being so scared by what you said, Yin Taohua has already told you. I'm not dead yet, I'm about to be scared to death by you. Sigh. But what I'm saying is true. I'd rather believe it or not. Believe it or not, I am an atheist. Oh, my dream. So, the topic was interrupted by the bell, and Lin Mengmeng didn't think much about this dream, but continued to attend her class. After all, it is more important for her to have good classes. Lin Mengmeng is studying at a high school in a city. Although her academic performance is not very good, she is good at drawing. She was specially recruited by the school and enrolled in an art class. In the morning, after finishing her cultural class, she didn't really want to attend 4 classes in a row. Either she couldn't understand or there were teachers who didn't like her, and she didn't want to listen. In addition, she had a nightmare last night and didn't sleep well all night. During the last math class, Lin Mengmeng nodded and dozed off. Unfortunately, she was also discovered by the math teacher. Not only was she scolded in front of the whole class, but she was also asked to write a 500-word review. She had to read it out loud in front of the whole class after school in the afternoon, which made her very worried and embarrassed. But this was not the first time it had happened, and her desk mate comforted her with a smile, saying, it's okay, it's okay. Everyone has already taken it for granted. Relax and just read the text aloud. Lin Mengmeng didn't want to talk to him and silently took out his notebook to ponder how to write a review. At this moment, a piece of paper was handed to her, and Lin Mengmeng followed the beautiful hand upwards. Seeing Tang Sun, her heart thumped. Tang Sun was her good friend who played from elementary school to high school. After all, the two families were neighbors and their parents had a good relationship, so the two of them had a more enjoyable time playing together. She remembered that she often bullied him when she was a child. After all, he was black and short at that time. Lin Mengmeng even gave him a nickname and often called him Black Egg, but Tang Sun didn't care and even smiled and looked silly. In middle school, Tang Sun suddenly changed his style. Not only did he grow faster, but in the end, he even became more handsome as he grew older. His whole body grew wider, his skin turned much whiter, and he even attracted many peach blossoms to secretly love him. For the girls who came to confess, Tang Sun refused them all one by one. In addition, the two of them got close, and some people secretly rubbed behind their backs, saying that they were related, which led to Lin Mengmeng and him keeping a distance. This scene persisted until the 3rd year of junior high school. When Tang Sun filled out his application in the last semester, he still filled in the same application as her and got into the same school as he had hoped. By chance, the two happened to be in the same class, which was just like fate. But fortunately, in the new class of the 1st year of high school, there were not many middle school students. Coincidentally, the teacher divided the seats and placed Tang Sun in the front row of Lin Mengmeng's seat. This way, the two of them had more communication. Lin Mengmeng looked at him and saw that his face was not very good, and his eyes were still a bit dark. However, before he could ask, he instinctively looked at the notebook he had pressed on the table. He was stunned when he saw that it was written in densely packed yet very exquisite words. What is he doing? Tang Sun rubbed his eyes and said, I've written it for you in advance, just copy it. Lin Mengmeng exclaimed in confusion and then asked, self-reflection. Tang Sun let out a sigh. Lin Mengmeng felt strange and looked up, asking, did you write it? Tang Sun hummed again. Lin Mengmeng didn't take the notebook, but looked at him very seriously and said, your face doesn't look very good. It seems like you haven't slept in a long time. Have you been staying up late these days? Tang Sun was stunned for a moment, but still let out a sigh before speaking, I'm really enduring it. I haven't slept soundly for a long time, after all, I'm doing something very important. End of this chapter. Can you feel chapter 2? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Can you feel chapter 2? Lin Mengmeng didn't understand what made him feel important, but she didn't ask after him. Instead, she said seriously to him, no matter what you do, you can't stay up late. You've already developed dark circles under your eyes. I think the next person to write about self-reflection is you. Lin Mengmeng snorted and didn't forget to complain about him when he was concerned. Tang Sun opened his mouth with a smile and said, I won't write a review. Lin Mengmeng took the notebook from his hand, spread it in front of him, and scanned his eyes. Seeing him say this, he couldn't help but mutter to himself, it's impossible. If you stay up late like this, you will definitely sleep in class like me. The teacher will also click on your name like me, and then ask you to write 1,000 words of self-criticism. Oh, I seem to have seen this self-criticism content somewhere before, it looks so familiar. She looked at it again, but didn't think much. She thought she might have seen something similar online before, and now she grabbed her pen and quickly started copying. Anyway, I can't remember it myself. If I don't copy it for nothing, I won't copy it. Unexpectedly, Tang Sun suddenly said something inexplicable. Dream, can you feel it? His inexplicable words made Lin Mengmeng look up at him in confusion and repeat the question. What do you feel? What do you mean by that? I don't know if it was Lin Mengmeng's illusion, but he felt Tang Sun's eyes dim in that moment, and he even pulled out a very uncomfortable yet gentle smile. He reached out and rubbed her head with a gentle gesture, just like when he was a child. He always acted like a brother and patted her head, telling him to be obedient and listen to his brother's words. Lin Mengmeng wouldn't call Tang Sun brother, nor would he allow him to touch his own head. But at this moment, she sat stiffly there, staring at Tang Sun without blinking, completely dumbfounded. Tang Sun said, it's nothing, just pretend that I haven't mentioned it. Lin Mengmeng realized and patted the table, standing up. The heat kept streaming down her face, unable to stop. Why are you still touching my head? They all said I'm not a child anymore, and if you touch it again, I won't grow taller. I used to be so short. Also, I feel like you're not in a good mood. Is it because you slept too little? Lin Mengmeng instinctively told him not to touch her own head. Her height of 1.6 meters is like that of a primary school student in the crowd. She is already a high school student and almost 18 years old. She is a mature adult who must eat well and grow tall. Her head is not allowed to be touched casually. Just as he spoke, seeing Tang Sun's listless face, he instinctively began to worry about him coming. I always feel like you've been very tired lately, and your life has become a lot colder. It's like you're thinking about something. Is it really important that you stay up late every night and don't rest? If it's not a secret, can you reveal something to me, for the sake of playing from childhood to adulthood? Lin Mengmeng sat back in her seat. The pen in her hand was already hanging on her mouth, swaying, and her eyes were eagerly staring at Tang Sun. Tang Sun also sat down, facing her desk and chair, directly lying on it, occupying a large part of the space, and even taking up a lot of the notebook. It's hard to say, even if you say it, you can't believe it. Tang Sun lay across from Lin Mengmeng, squinting his eyes slightly as he looked at her. He said mysteriously, so it's a secret, I can't tell you. Lin Mengmeng made a cut and pushed his lying arm, indicating that he didn't want to talk to him. I'm not curious if I love to talk, but I still want to remind you to be careful that you will be the next speaker on stage. Tang Sun remained silent as he watched her start writing and copying with great speed, as if he had watched the scene many times before. The school where Lin Mengmeng and Tang Sun are located has a cafeteria. After all, there are students who have been admitted from other provinces in the school, so it is a half-boarding and half-day school system. Lin Mengmeng's home is relatively far, so he spent lunch at the school and returned home in the evening. Similarly, Tang Sun did the same. After copying her review, she threw her notebook directly to Tang Sun, and then went to the cafeteria with her best friend Zhao Lin for dinner side by side. The two of them chatted and laughed, but didn't even notice Tang Sun's expression. Zhao Lin was a girl who Lin Mengmeng grew up playing with. They had similar interests since childhood, and their hobbies were both painting. They played together for a long time, from middle school to high school. However, Zhao Lin was not so lucky to be in the same class as Lin Mengmeng, but was assigned to the next class. Although this did not prevent the two girls from meeting and gossiping about their own class. The key is that when girls are together, they can still talk quietly, such as about love. Zhao Lin and Lin Mengmeng had already descended the stairs, and now they whispered in Lin Mengmeng's ear, "Your Tang Sun, who played from childhood to adulthood, has a girl in our class who likes him. Do you know that?" Lin Mengmeng was taken aback for a moment and then said, "It's not surprising anymore. He was a beauty disaster when he was in junior high school, and all the girls in the school have a good impression of him." Zhao Lin asked curiously, "And what about you? You are childhood sweethearts and classmates with him, don't you have any thoughts about him? And he's so handsome now, why don't you take advantage of it now?" Lin Mengmeng pondered for a moment. Although she was facing her best friend Zhao Lin, she still didn't express her inner thoughts and shook her head helplessly, saying, "What are you talking about? I have always regarded Tang Sun as my brother. Look at the scandals that occurred during the third year of junior high school, which have caused me great harm and almost made me the target of all the girls in the school." Zhao Lin pursed her lips and said, "They're jealous of you, after all, your relationship with Tang Sun is the best. But Mengmeng, you're really strange. With such a handsome guy by your side, you can't even look up to him. Your eyes are too sharp, so you won't be able to find a boyfriend." Lin Mengmeng patted her shoulder and pouted, saying, "What are you talking about? Do you like to see people's skin when you're alone? That's too perfunctory. Dating relies on feelings, do you understand?" Zhao Lin snorted and said, "You're right. Anyway, I won't listen. If I kiss ugly 8 monsters, I'll definitely spit out all the food for the night." Upon hearing this, Lin Mengmeng couldn't help but laugh and said, "Then I'll introduce Tang Sun to you." Zhao Lin quickly shook her hand and refused, "I can't bear it. Only some fool doesn't know. In fact, Tang Sun can tell at a glance what he likes." Before she could finish speaking, Tang Sun's voice rang out from behind, and the sound of Lin Mengmeng pulled their thoughts and gazed towards each other. They had already walked to the bottom of the stairs, and at that moment Tang Sun was still standing on the stairs. He was wearing a school uniform and had a slender figure carrying the light emanating from the stairs. The contours of his face were not very clear, which made the dream from last night flash in Lin Mengmeng's mind for a moment. The figure in the dream overlapped with Tang Sun's figure, and Lin Mengmeng's heart seemed to miss a beat. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Who Make Me Your Brother? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Who Make Me Your Brother? Zhao Lin saw Lin Mengmeng's gaze fixed on Tang Sun. If it weren't for the expression of seeing a ghost, Zhao Lin would have thought Lin Mengmeng was just deceiving her, but in fact, she just liked Tang Sun. Tang Sun walked down the stairs and approached Lin Mengmeng. Seeing her staring at him in a daze, as if he had anticipated it, he reached out his finger and poked her head with a smile, asking, "Why did you start staring at me when I called you?" Zhao Lin watched the interaction between the two and hurriedly said, "Oh my, Mengmeng was stunned by your way of appearing." Lin Mengmeng had been poked back to his senses by him. At this moment, he covered his head and looked up at the tall Tang Sun in front of him, then turned around and complained to Zhao Lin. "What are you talking nonsense about? You haven't been fooled by his handsomeness, is it okay? He's still far behind," he said, and then asked Tang Sun what he called her. Tang Sun said, "Let's go eat together, how about it?" Lin Mengmeng was stunned for a long time without any reaction, except for Zhao Lin, who smiled and agreed beside her. She also patted Lin Mengmeng's shoulder and gestured to her with her eyes, saying, "I believe Mengmeng will definitely agree, right?" Lin Mengmeng looked at her, feeling somewhat speechless, but seemed somewhat at a loss for Tang Sun's request to eat together. Apart from having a small dinner table together when they were young, they occasionally went to their respective homes to grab food, but that was only when they were young. Even if they had a scandal when they reached middle school, they had never met in the cafeteria, let alone had meals together. They basically lived their own lives, and sometimes Lin Mengmeng avoided him because of the scandal. "I don't know what's wrong with Tang Sun today. Suddenly, I wanted to have dinner with her, it was like the sun rising from the west." Zhao Lin could tell that Lin Mengmeng was very hesitant. She quickly poked her with her elbow and whispered, "Agree quickly. Didn't you play together since we were young? It doesn't matter much if we have a meal." Lin Mengmeng. "But." Tang Sun smiled and said, "It's just eating together. We used to eat together when we were kids." Lin Mengmeng turned his head and finally whispered, "Okay then." As I spoke, I was still thinking to myself, why should I take out my childhood and say it? It's already past. Now that they are adults and Tang Sun is still so popular among girls, would some girls see them eating together suddenly and then spread rumors? She is most troubled by such things. After all, Lin Mengmeng only wants to go to school safely and study painting well, and doesn't want to make these complicated things about learning. "Well, let's go together then." Tang Sun saw Lin Mengmeng say this, and the corner of his mouth curved slightly. He dropped a sentence and brushed past her. After walking a few steps, he found that Lin Mengmeng had not followed. He turned around to look and tilted his head, asking, "Are you not leaving?" Zhao Lin was instantly stunned by Tang Sun's handsome appearance, and quickly took a photo of Lin Mengmeng, who was still in a daze. She said, "Why are you still in such a daze? Follow us quickly." "Ah. Oh." Lin Mengmeng suddenly felt a bit embarrassed. He looked at Tang Sun and turned his gaze towards her, but it fell on her. His eyes were lingering and tender, deadly. She stared at his face and saw him looking at her. Suddenly, she felt that he didn't feel as lethargic as before and looked much more energetic. Three people walked side by side on the road to school, probably Tang Sun, who was handsome and attracted the attention of many girls along the way. Some whispered while watching him, while others became shy. But Tang Sun himself didn't care. Zhao Lin looked around as she walked, and then bit her ear with Lin Mengmeng. "Wow, Tang Sun is really popular." Lin Mengmeng was absent-minded, probably because Tang Sun was walking side by side with her, so she felt a bit uncomfortable. Zhao Lin didn't care at all and spoke to herself. "Mengmeng, do you think Tang Sun is a bit strange today? I didn't see him come over to have dinner with you a few days ago, so why did he come to see you today? Does he have something to tell you, such as confession?" Lin Mengmeng was taken aback for a moment, looking at her with some resentment and muttering, "What nonsense is it? It's not like that." Zhao Lin lightly touched her arm, cut it, and said, "Why is it impossible? Otherwise, why would we eat with you so well?" Lin Mengmeng was really hesitated by Zhao Lin's words. She slightly looked up at Tang Sun walking next to him. He was tall, and Lin Mengmeng could only look up. Seeing his beautiful chin, his gaze silently shifted upwards. His gaze looked ahead, frowning slightly, and his expression didn't look very relaxed, as if he was thinking something. She didn't know what he was thinking, but quickly withdrew her gaze and forced herself to remain calm. Looking back at Tang Sun's appearance in the past, she even called him Little Black Egg at that time. Now, I never expected that he not only grew up, but also looked so beautiful. Looking at himself, he was still short and thin, and his skin was not very white, becoming increasingly unattractive. Lin Mengmeng sighed, feeling that things have changed. At this moment, Tang Sun spoke up and said, "Mengmeng, I forgot to tell you. A few days ago, Uncle Lin said to me that we were in the same class and asked to take care of you at school. Lin Mengmeng was still thinking about how to transform himself and become more and more beautiful like Tang Sun, but his words directly brought her back to reality. She looked up at Tang Sun and saw him looking at her with a gentle gaze. She suddenly averted her gaze and asked, "Why didn't my dad tell me?" Tang Sun smiled and said, "Dad Lin said they were very busy these days, so they shouldn't be at home much. You're the only one at home. Dad Lin was worried that you might not be able to handle some things on your own and be clumsy, so he asked me to take care of you. I agreed, so I decided to have dinner with you today. Oh, by the way, if there's anything that can't be solved, you can come directly to me without feeling troublesome. Who wants me to be your brother? Taking care of your sister is right." Upon hearing this, Lin Mengmeng's heart was filled with mixed feelings. She knew that her parents were busy and she was always alone at home. Every time her parents called, she would confidently say that she was fine and that she only needed to study hard. She was surprised that her father would call Tang Sun directly this time. She could not help thinking that last week, when it was raining rainstorm that night, there was thunder outside, and the thunder roared in bursts. She was too scared to sleep. At that time, she called her father and cried. Dad must have called Tang Sun to ask for help because of this matter. It's quite embarrassing to think of this now. As an adult, I'm actually afraid of thunder. Can this be justified? Lin Mengmeng struggled for a while before finally pouting and saying, "Actually, I can do it alone." As I spoke, I was still muttering to myself. Before, Tang Sun used to call him his sister, but now he's saying he's my brother. Although he is indeed 2 months older than himself. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Is just like when I was a child. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 is just like when I was a child. Tang Sun smiled with great indulgence, as if he were really Lin Mengmeng's brother. He spoke softly and said, "Uncle Lin has already told me that night." Ah! Don't say, don't say. Lin Mengmeng saw him say this and immediately became anxious, regardless of whether all the male and female classmates passing by saw him or not. He ran straight towards Tang Sun, trying to cover his mouth, but Tang Sun was too tall. Lin Mengmeng grabbed his school uniform, tiptoed and jumped, but still couldn't touch his mouth. Zhao Lin was stunned on one side, but then she covered her mouth and chuckled, teasing, "Tang Sun, what did Mengmeng's father say to you? Can you tell me too? I'm also very curious." Tang Sun looked at Lin Mengmeng, who was tugging at his wrist. She was staring at him tightly, her eyes widened like a rabbit. Even though she looked very angry now, in Tang Sun's eyes, she was simply adorable. Just like when I was a child, Lin Mengmeng has never changed. Well. Lin Mengmeng became anxious and turned his head to clench his fist at Zhao Lin. He was angry and said, "Don't ask, don't ask." Then he turned his head to warn Tang Sun and said angrily, "You can't say either. Did you hear me?" Zhao Lin not only didn't get angry, but also smiled and said, "Mengmeng, you're so cute." Then she threw the topic at Tang Sun and blinked her eyes, asking, "Tang Sun, do you think the same way?" Tang Sun remained silent, but a gentle expression appeared between his eyebrows. Who said it's not? She was cute from childhood to adulthood, and he always saw her in his eyes. Just suddenly remembered something, Tang Sun's expression suddenly became serious, even frowning. But Lin Mengmeng and Zhao Lin didn't notice Tang Sun's expression. The two were still arguing on the roadside. Lin Mengmeng's face turned red and her ears turned red. Seeing that she couldn't speak up to Zhao Lin, she stomped her feet and immediately took big steps forward, complaining while walking, "Really, I won't play with you anymore." Watching Lin Mengmeng's figure walk away, Tang Sun finally regained his senses. Some scenes flashed before his eyes, and he instinctively reached out his hand to Lin Mengmeng's place, shouting urgently in a tone, "Mengmeng, don't." Lin Mengmeng hesitated for a moment, half turned around, and looked at him strangely. Zhao Lin also showed a puzzled expression and asked, "What don't you want?" Tang Sun returned to reality in an instant. He was clearly stunned for a moment, but quickly returned to his usual state. He smiled and said, "It's okay, just let her not leave. Aren't we going to eat? I think it's better to go together." Zhao Lin saw Tang Sun's explanation like this and instinctively wanted to poke him with her elbow. She chuckled and said, "Cut, I don't even know your caution." Lin Mengmeng stood not far away, looking at Tang Sun. Tang Sun's gaze remained fixed on her. For some reason, she suddenly felt that Tang Sun's spirit had been somewhat abnormal lately. At first, she only felt that his complexion was not very good. It must have been because he had been staying up late lately, so she couldn't sleep well. But now she felt that he must be mentally deranged. Suddenly, she called out to her in that tone, and it felt really bad, as if she was about to die. Lin Mengmeng was suddenly startled by her own thoughts, and the dream she had last night flashed through her mind. She shook her head and forced herself to calm down. Zhao Lin giggled and said something to Tang Sun, which made Lin Mengmeng think she was asking if Tang Sun was asking her father and Tang Sun if she was afraid of thunder. In an instant, she became anxious and quickly ran to them, inserted herself horizontally in the middle of them, separated the two by some distance, and wrapped her arms around her, saying, "Stop talking, stop talking. Is this matter okay? Let's go eat quickly." Tang Sun let out a sigh, and Zhao Lin squinted her eyes and covered her mouth with a smirk. She wisely remained silent. "I probably spent some time on the road, and there aren't many students eating in the cafeteria now. It didn't take a few minutes to get the food." Lin Mengmeng chose a corner at random. As soon as he sat down and grasped chopsticks, Zhao Lin sat opposite her with a rice plate and complained. "Today's food looks so greasy. I just have no appetite to look at it. Alas, I suddenly miss spicy hot pot outside the school." Speaking so, Zhao Lin still took a few bites of rice for herself. Lin Mengmeng had almost forgotten about that dream, but now she remembered it. The scene kept flashing in her mind, and it couldn't be erased, making her very uncomfortable. "I was already hungry, but now I don't feel like eating at all." My gaze fell on a bowl of seaweed egg soup, held by a pair of fair and slender hands. Lin Mengmeng moved up with that hand and saw Tang Sun's face. Tang Sun was looking at her. He probably saw her in a daze. Seaweed soup pushed in front of her and said, "Why not eat in a daze? Here, this is seaweed soup. Drink it while it's hot." Lin Mengmeng looked at him and felt that he was very abnormal. It's okay to ask for dinner together today, but it's unscientific to give her seaweed soup. Why did she suddenly become so attentive? Zhao Lin didn't think anything was wrong, but instead watched them interact with envy, biting her chopsticks and muttering, "I'm almost full of dog food." Lin Mengmeng. She looked at Zhao Lin, and then at Tang Sun who was sitting beside her. Thinking that the misunderstanding was too big, she hurriedly said to Tang Sun, "Don't worry if I'm in a daze. If you look at you, you must give me seaweed soup." Zhao Lin misunderstood me. Zhao Lin interrupted, "No, I didn't see anything." Lin Mengmeng. Tang Sun didn't care at all. He picked up the vegetables with chopsticks and said while eating, "Eat more vegetables, grow taller." Lin Mengmeng couldn't bear it anymore and said, "Hey, you mind if I eat or not?" And he even poked out her pain. "It's really despicable. He's coming to have dinner with her today, it's like coming to anger her." But Lin Mengmeng didn't feel surprised at all, as if this scene had happened before. Tang Sun couldn't even get angry like this, so she could only stare at him and silently eat. Zhao Lin is right. Today's food in the canteen is really oily. She holds her chopsticks and rummages through the dishes, but she still can't eat a few mouthfuls. Instead, she eats a little nauseous, and her eyes fall on the bowl of seaweed soup. She pursed her lips, thinking to herself that Tang Sun was really thoughtful. While hesitating whether to pick it up and drink it, Tang Sun stood beside him and said, "No poison, you can drink it with confidence." Lin Mengmeng looked at Tang Sun with a smile on his face. Lin Mengmeng was even more angry. Her cheeks were puffed up. "She asked you to take care of her." Then she took seaweed soup and drank several mouthfuls. After a few mouthfuls of seaweed soup, the nausea feeling in the chest cavity is much more comfortable. In the past, when Lin Mengmeng and Zhao Lin had meals, they could talk about other topics. However, today with Tang Sun present, the two of them couldn't open their mouths and buried their heads in eating. There was a constant stream of noise around them, but their corner was surprisingly quiet. Zhao Lin and Lin Mengmeng were even careful when eating, afraid of making some noise. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Don't worry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Don't worry. Perhaps Zhao Lin was feeling a bit uncomfortable because she hadn't spoken for a long time. She glanced at the two people across from each other who were eating their own meals, thinking that it wouldn't work. Eating without chatting was too embarrassing, and she had to find some topic to discuss. But after thinking for a while, she didn't know what to talk about, but the dream that Lin Mengmeng told her this morning flashed through her mind. She thought it was a good topic and then carefully spoke it out, while also observing Tang Sun's reaction. She shouted at Lin Mengmeng and said, "Mengmeng, do you still remember what you told me this morning?" Lin Mengmeng didn't know what she was thinking, and was constantly daydreaming. Her eating movements were very mechanical, slow, and she occasionally took a sip of soup. At this moment, Zhao Lin suddenly asked, and she looked up at her. Zhao Lin took a bite of food and stuffed it into her mouth, saying, "That's the dream you're talking about." Lin Mengmeng let out a sigh, as if it wasn't a big surprise. "It's just a dream, it's not true, let's not say it anymore." Tang Sun listened quietly to them speak, but his gaze remained on Lin Mengmeng's profile, staring at them for a long, long time. Zhao Lin bit her chopsticks and looked at Tang Sun, then said, "But I'm still curious. How could you have such a dream so well? I feel like you've really encountered some kind of hidden peach blossom. Believe it or not, you'll still have that dream tonight." Lin Mengmeng felt a chill in her spine when Zhao Lin said it. She looked up at Zhao Lin with some blame and said, "How could it be? Don't just talk nonsense, okay?" But she just followed Zhao Lin's topic and thought to herself, thinking that if she really continued to dream like this at night, wouldn't she be no different from being scared and crying when it thundered that day? And it sounds so strange to be targeted by the man in the dream, it's too terrifying. Without bias, Lin Mengmeng looked at Tang Sun. Zhao Lin turned the topic directly to Tang Sun and said, "Tang Sun, aren't you curious about what strange dream you had last night?" Tang Sun had just picked up a bowl of seaweed soup and was ready to drink it. Hearing what Zhao Lin said, he looked up, smiled and asked, "What dream?" Zhao Lin said mysteriously, in her dream, she dreamed that she was walking on the road and was hit and killed by a large truck. This is not a strange thing, but the key is that a man appeared in the dream. The man even told him to live well and said he would come back next time. Are you curious? Then I said, "This is." Before Zhao Lin could finish speaking, Tang Sun's face suddenly turned pale. His hand softened, and the seaweed he was holding suddenly slipped from his palm. The small bowl fell directly onto the table with a crisp sound, and the soup spilled all over the table. Some even splashed onto Lin Mengmeng's school uniform. She stood up reflexively, and Zhao Lin was also frightened by Tang Sun's reaction, so she didn't say anything later. The two of them stared blankly, then shifted their gaze to Tang Sun. Tang Sun's complexion was already not good, very haggard, but now it looks even more lethargic. Lin Mengmeng was frightened, not because the bowl of soup suddenly fell from his palm and spilled all over the ground, but because of Tang Sun's reaction. She didn't know what was wrong with him, and Zhao Lin didn't say anything. She only talked about the dream she had last night, but it was because of his reaction that he had such a big reaction. "You. Tang Sun, are you okay? Is there anything uncomfortable with your body? Zhao Lin was so scared that she couldn't speak. She just sat there, blinking her eyes and staring at them without moving, her head in a mess, thinking about which step she had taken wrong. Lin Meng dreamed that he covered his head with one hand, looking very painful. He was worried because she had never seen such a Tang Sun before. At this moment, he reached out and poked his elbow. Tang Sun then put down his hand that was holding his head, lifted a colorless face, smiled at her, and said, "It's okay." Lin Meng was still a bit worried, knowing that he couldn't eat this meal anymore. He asked, "Are you feeling unwell somewhere?" Suddenly, it seemed like he had a disease. Tang Sun touched the pocket of his school uniform. He didn't know what he was feeling. Seeing that he hadn't touched anything, he stopped, stood up, stroked the seaweed soup that had been splashed on his body, and said, Maybe it was because he stayed up late last night, so he didn't sleep much. Just now he suddenly felt dark, but now it's much better. Don't worry. The air was filled with the smell of seaweed soup. It was salty, not very good. Lin Meng stared at him, feeling that it didn't seem like what he had said. The expression on his face just now was clearly very painful. But Zhao Lin breathed a sigh of relief as she stroked her chest to help herself breathe. So it's anemia, it's normal. When I used to stay up late, when I stood up and walked a few steps, my eyes turned black and I almost collapsed. Just make up for it. I've been wanting to say this for a long time, but your face doesn't look good. It's probably because you've been staying up late too much. It's better to stay up less and think for someone else's sake, otherwise someone might worry too much. Tang Sun let out a sigh and said, I understand. Only Lin Meng was still standing on that solemn face, because the salty smell of seaweed soup in the air kept washing away her brain, leaving her head empty and unable to remember anything. This lunch, all three of us had a messy heart. During a series of afternoon cultural classes, Lin Meng sat in front of the easel, holding a sketching pencil in his hand. He was still daydreaming about the strange dream he had last night, and Tang Sun's sudden reaction when he heard Zhao Lin's words at noon, perhaps because she was in a daze. Lin Meng suddenly felt a pain in her skull. She looked up and saw the art teacher standing in front of her, raising her hand and tapping her skull. She saw his serious face from above and her heart skipped a beat. The art teacher said, Lin Meng, what were you daydreaming about during class? Look at you, ask you to paint a portrait, and you actually painted a street. Lin Meng looked fiercely at the drawing board, her heart beating very fast. She didn't know what was wrong, but she really drew that street. Although the drawing was very messy, Lin Meng knew that it was the street she dreamt of being hit by a car last night. That street was actually the commercial street not far from the school. She stood up abruptly, apologized several times, then tore off the A4 paper on the drawing board and pasted a new white paper on it. The art teacher saw Lin Meng's sincere apology and thought that she had been very serious in class before. Today, when she suddenly lost consciousness, she didn't plan to fuss too much. She asked her to draw quickly and not fall behind in progress, so she went to other parts of the studio with her hands down. Lin Meng held a pencil and sat back in front of the drawing board. However, his ghostly gaze fell on the painting that was thrown aside. The painting in the dark corner felt a strange atmosphere as he looked at it, and his heart was pounding fiercely. It made her feel more terrifying the more she looked at it. She quickly reached out and turned the painting upside down, only then breathed a sigh of relief. Curious, why do I care so much about this dream? I even wonder if I should go to that commercial street and see something after school. She shook her head violently, forcing herself to calm down. Now in class, how can I daydream about other things? End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Have you not put any thought into it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Have you not put any thought into it? After 2 classes, in the middle of the break, Tang Sun came over to Lin Meng's side again. He seemed to have regained his usual expression and teased Lin Meng Meng. I see, the teacher is knocking on your head like this. Tang Sun said this and made a gesture, gesturing towards her head. Lin Meng Meng was already in a restless mood, but now his words have made him even more agitated. She glanced at him and pushed away his hand, saying disdainfully, and then, what do you want to say? Lin Meng Meng sat in a chair, in front of a drawing board. On her drawing board, she drew a pencil sketching of a person's head, lifelike. The incandescent light shone on it, and the eyes of the middle-aged man in the painting seemed to be looking at them, somewhat inexplicably eerie. Tang Sun squatted next to Lin Meng Meng, and in an instant, he became shorter. The white light of the incandescent lamp, which had no warmth, hit his face, making him look even more pale. In that moment, Lin Meng Meng felt a slight chill in his spine. She moved her chair and sat beside her, instinctively looking around to see if anyone was looking, and then asked, "What are you doing?" "Suddenly, you're squatting in front of me." Tang Sun paid no attention to the gazes around him. He picked up the A4 paper that Lin Meng Meng had thrown aside and flipped it over to see a street prominently painted on it. He looked at it for a long time and said, "I'm not doing anything, I just came over to ask you something." Tang Sun had been watching it for a long time, and Lin Meng Meng felt a bit uncomfortable. She thought he might still pick her thorn if he continued like this. She snatched the painting, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it into the corner, feeling a bit angry. "Don't look at this, if you have anything you want to ask quickly. Class is about to start." Tang Sun let out a nod, but the topic still lingered on that painting. "Meng Meng, is this the scene you dreamt of last night? It was painted quite well." Lin Meng Meng trembled fiercely and refused to admit it. "No, it's not." She finally spent 2 classes telling herself in her heart that it was just a dream, as long as she forgot it. However, at this moment, Tang Sun insisted on asking this, which made her even more annoyed. That dream was like a movie constantly playing in her mind, she couldn't forget it no matter how hard she tried. Tang Sun said, "To be honest, doesn't the dream you had feel particularly real?" Zhao Lin said, "You died in the dream, did you really feel the pain at that time?" Lin Meng Meng shuddered directly, and she shifted her gaze to Tang Sun, intending to see some clues. However, Tang Sun's expression was faint, and there was a pitch-black bruise under his eyes. It looked like he had stayed up late for a long time, not very energetic, except for his eyes, which seemed to have seen through many things. Because she was close, she could smell the salty seaweed soup on Tang Sun. Her voice even trembled as she spoke. Thinking back on the dream and Tang Sun's words, she actually felt the piercing pain at the moment when she was knocked away. But could she feel the pain in the dream because it was too surreal? Lin Meng Meng's small face was scared to a pale color, almost surpassing the whiteness of A4 paper. However, Tang Sun suddenly stood up and pretended that nothing had happened before. He reached out and rubbed her head melon seeds, and said softly in his voice, "I was just teasing you. Seeing you scared, I couldn't bear to continue talking. It was just a dream, don't think too much, and what I said earlier was actually just casual. How could I feel pain while dreaming, right?" She regained her senses and looked up at Tang Sun standing so tall in front of her. For a moment, she forgot to pat away his hand rubbing her head and sat there in a daze. The atmosphere between the two seemed somewhat ambiguous to others. All of this was seen by Zhang Shuiying, who had just entered the studio not far away. She had a complex expression, holding a freshly cleaned painting tool in her hand. At this moment, there was still a little water dripping down, and several flowers were swinging on the ground. Unfortunately, at this moment, the bell for class rang. Tang Sun put away his hand that rubbed her head, bent over and leaned in front of her, saying, "If you're in such a bad mood, let's go together after school tonight. I'll take you to eat delicious food." Zhang Shuiying deliberately passed by them, and upon hearing these words, she couldn't help but pinch the painting tools in her hand. Lin Meng Meng remained silent. After Tang Sun left, Zhang Shuiying put down his painting tools and approached with a smile, asking, Lin Mengmeng, do you have a 5B pencil? I just found out I've run out, but I can't find a spare pencil. It's already class, and I've borrowed it from everyone around me, but none of the classmates around me. Can you lend me one? Help me urgently. She suddenly regained her senses and looked at Zhang Shuiying's beautiful face. She quickly picked up a pencil case, found a 5B pencil, handed it to her, and said, I happen to have it. Can I borrow it from you? She sighed and patted her cheek, intending to calm herself down. Don't think about what you have or don't have. After saying thank you, Zhang Shuiying didn't take a pencil and walked away. She stood there, looked at the picture of Lin Mengmeng talking to, and then asked, I just saw Tang Sun talking to you, and it felt a bit strange. Tang Sun always talks to girls, don't you know him? I've heard before that you and Tang Sun are in junior high school, right? Zhang Shuiying asked these questions, and Lin Mengmeng, who had a simple mind, didn't notice anything wrong. He let out a sigh and said, we know each other. We are not only elementary and middle school classmates, but what's even more outrageous is that Tang Sun and I are still neighbors. Lin Mengmeng felt that there was nothing wrong with what she said, but in Zhang Shuiying's ear, she felt that Lin Mengmeng was indirectly showing off, and her mood was somewhat unpleasant. She began to develop a dislike for Lin Mengmeng, whom she had never encountered before. But she managed her expression very well. At this moment, she pretended to be surprised and continued to ask, not even caring about the sound of the class bell. Wow, isn't that childhood sweetheart? Mengmeng, you're so lucky to be a childhood sweetheart with such a handsome guy. Do you know how popular Tang Sun is now? A few days ago, he was even sent a love letter by a few girls from the neighboring class. Lin Mengmeng was too lazy to meddle in Tang Sun's affairs, but upon hearing what Zhang Shuiying said, she also became slightly interested. She pursed her lips and continued speaking. I'm not surprised anymore, after all, Tang Sun wasn't like this before, but I don't know why he changed his personality when he entered junior high school. He was chased by all the girls in the school recently, and sometimes even female classmates followed him after school and confessed their love letters at his doorstep. It's just a small case. After Lin Mengmeng finished speaking, she sighed. Zhang Shuiying was surprised and said, is there such a thing? Then she lowered her voice and deliberately asked, by the way, I'm very curious. So, with such a handsome guy by your side, haven't you put any thought into it? Lin Mengmeng tilted his head and looked at her, saying, no, there isn't. Zhang Shuiying inexplicably breathed a sigh of relief before saying, but when I passed by just now, I heard Tang Sun telling you, let's go out and play together tonight. End of this chapter. Chapter 7 is just a passing passage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 is just a passing passage. Zhang Shuiying didn't say it, Lin Mengmeng hadn't realized it yet, but upon thinking about it, it seemed like there was indeed such a thing going on. When she was about to say something, the art teacher walked into the studio and Zhang Shuiying quickly ran back to her seat. The previously noisy studio fell silent in an instant, except for the rustling sound of pencils rubbing against the paper. Dull and boring, listening makes one drowsy. Lin Mengmeng instinctively turned his head to look at Tang Sun's position, only to find that his position was on the other side of the door, covered by layers of painted boards, and his people could not be seen at all. She thought that Tang Sun must be dozing off now. After all, he said he was doing something important at night and didn't sleep much, which makes people look very weathered now. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but become curious. What exactly is it that he thinks is important? The dream flashed through her mind again. Lin Mengmeng grabbed a pencil and drew a few strokes on the almost finished portrait in front of her. Suddenly, she froze and looked at the eyes of the portrait, her heart pounding with excitement. She recalled what Tang Sun had said before, and now she felt extremely scared after careful consideration. At that time, she didn't say that the painting was the scene she had painted in her dream, but unfortunately, Tang Sun said it out loud. This is impossible, how could Tang Sun know? The force in her hand suddenly increased, and the hair on the portrait of the human head was damaged by her drawing. She regained her senses and quickly took out an eraser, moving slower and slower. At this moment, a note came over, and a classmate next to her poked her shoulder, then handed the note to her and whispered, "Zhang Shuiying gave it to you." Lin Mengmeng finally came to her senses. She took the note and opened it. "Everyone is in the same class, can you take me to play tonight?" Lin Mengmeng looked at the delicate words on the note and was in a daze for a long time. Finally, she twisted it into a ball and put it in her pocket. She wrote a note and passed it on to her. "It's impossible to go out and play with Tang Sun. The remaining two classes are connected together, so when the bell rings for the end of class, the originally quiet studio immediately becomes noisy. The students sitting in front of the drawing board tear off their homework and hand it over to the teacher. Then they tidy up their painting tools, pack up their things, and prepare for school." Lin Mengmeng was carefully tearing off the edge of the beautiful striped tape. Zhang Shuiying had already handed in her homework and walked over to Lin Mengmeng's side. She asked in confusion, "Mengmeng, is what was said before class true? Tang Sun invited you out to play, are you really not going?" Lin Mengmeng happened to tear off the painting, and she still studied it in her hand for a moment. With a sound, she stood up and looked at her, saying, "How could I possibly go back? I still have to go home. I don't have time to play outside." Although this was just her excuse, she was the only one in her family and didn't even speak. Zhang Shuiying's expression relaxed a bit, but she still said, "Well, that's really a pity. I was planning to go shopping with you guys. You know, my home is very close to the school, and returning home early is really boring." So she thought. "Forget it, you go hand in your homework. I also have to go home. See you tomorrow, Lin Mengmeng." Zhang Shuiying said this to Lin Mengmeng, then carried a backpack of painting tools and walked out of the studio with another female classmate. Before leaving, they shook their hands at her and walked out of the studio. Lin Mengmeng stood there, looking at Zhang Shuiying's back, feeling very strange today. What's wrong with everyone one by one? It's really extraordinary. Although it's only been a month since the start of school, I haven't had a serious conversation with Tang Sun for a long time. Unfortunately, today was both chatting and going to the cafeteria for dinner. Even Zhang Shuiying is not very familiar with her face, and everyone has little social interaction. At most, she is the most familiar stranger, but she seems to treat herself as her good friend and even says she wants to go out and play with her. Since she had that dream, everything seems to have changed. But she doesn't know where it's different. It's very inconsistent in all aspects, but unfortunately it's hard to say. When Lin Mengmeng handed the painting to the teacher, she began to return to the easel and tidy up the painting tools. After finishing, she prepared to return to the classroom. When she saw that Tang Sun was no longer in the painting room, she reluctantly breathed a sigh of relief. However, as soon as she stepped out of the painting room, she saw him leaning against the wall, wrapped around his arm, with a ruffled face. Tang Sun saw that Lin Mengmeng was clearly startled by him, and the smile on his lips became increasingly apparent. Lin Mengmeng calmed down and pretended not to see him avoid him. Tang Sun was not surprised to see her ignoring him, but he still ran along and walked side by side with Lin Mengmeng. As he walked, he asked, "Why didn't you say hello to me when you saw me?" Lin Mengmeng said, "No, I didn't see it." Tang Sun smiled and said, "Did you start to distance yourself from me because Zhang Shuiying wanted to go out and play with you?" Upon hearing these words, Lin Mengmeng suddenly stopped and looked up at him. "Did you see it?" Tang Sun said, Lin Mengmeng asked again, "Then I didn't tell you at the time that the painting I first drew was a scene from my dream. How did you know?" Tang Sun did not show any signs of panic or surprise, and he said calmly, "I guessed, didn't I?" At this moment, Lin Mengmeng couldn't refute because he didn't know what to say next, so Suo ignored him and stepped forward. Unfortunately, Tang Sun ran up to her and stopped her. Tang Sun said, "I'll take you to a fun place to relax later." Lin Mengmeng asked, "Why do you have to go out with me? Can't you just find someone else?" Tang Sun said, "What does this have to do with others? I just saw that your mood was not very good all day today. I was very worried, so I wanted to take you out to relax. Is there a problem?" Lin Mengmeng bit his lip and looked at him, saying, "What's going on with each of you today? We used to go our separate ways, but today is different. Not only do you always come to harass me, but even Zhang Shuiying comes to talk to me. It's clear that we haven't had any communication before." She said this, then turned her head and stopped looking at Tang Sun. Tang Sun didn't care at all. He scratched his hair and said, "I'm not harassing you. It's not because Uncle Lin told me that you've been very lonely lately, and since we've both grown up together since childhood, Uncle Lin can trust me to take care of you. I didn't come to see you before, so isn't it all because you always avoid me?" End of this chapter. Chapter 8. It's Better to Be Alone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. It's better to be alone. Lin Mengmeng was stunned for a moment, but she still said angrily, "I'm not alone, nor have I avoided you. Don't bother me now, I'm going home." Tang Sun said, I know." Lin Mengmeng looked at him and then bypassed him, but Tang Sun quickly followed suit. However, Lin Mengmeng took a few steps forward, and Tang Sun followed suit. Now Lin Mengmeng could no longer bear it. Before he could get angry, Tang Sun said, "You're going back to the classroom now, and I'm going back too. We're just passing by." Lin Mengmeng's anger was blocked in his throat by this sentence. "Okay, just by the way, she won't mind. The classmates in the classroom have already walked almost, but in the class, Zhang Shuiying has not left yet. She is talking and laughing with the female classmates in her seat. Zhang Shuiying is the representative of the Chinese language class in the class. She performs well in the cultural class, is quite good. Looking, tall, has a pleasant voice, and has 2 dimples when laughing. In the eyes of others, she looks very sweet. She usually wears a high ponytail, looking energetic, lively, and elegant. Not only is she a left and right assistant to the teacher, but she has a great reputation in the class. Both boys and girls like her type, and she is particularly willing to help others. In the same grade, she has a good reputation and is on par with Tang Sun." Lin Mengmeng was taken aback when she saw Zhang Shuiying in the classroom. She instinctively kept a distance from Tang Sun, then pretended to know nothing and walked into the classroom. Zhang Shuiying seemed to be waiting for her intentionally in the class. At this moment, she saw 2 people walking into the class together, and her smiling expression suddenly became subtle. She told the female classmate that there was something else to do and asked her to leave first. So she walked up to Lin Mengmeng's seat and said to her, "Lin Mengmeng, I'm waiting for you in the classroom. Didn't I borrow your pencil in class just now? When I came back to tidy up the painting tools, I realized I forgot to return them to you. Now, it's just waiting for you to come." She wore a smile on her face, with shallow dimples. Even Lin Mengmeng was stunned. Zhang Shuiying is really beautiful, and compared to herself, she is vastly different. Lin Mengmeng took the pencil, and the tip of the pencil was beautifully sharpened and neat. She held it in her hand and rubbed it, then placed it in the painting tool and said, it's okay to forget. There's no need to return it now." Zhang Shuiying ignored her words and entered the main topic with a smile. Are you ready to go home now?" As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes shifted to Tang Sun's position. Tang Sun's position was right in front of Lin Mengmeng, where Zhang Shuiying was standing, coincidentally in the center of 2 rows. Coupled with her crisp voice, there were not many people in the classroom, so Tang Sun also heard him. He walked to the door with his backpack, then stopped there, leaning over half of his body to look at them. Lin Mengmeng suddenly felt embarrassed for some reason, but she had already packed up her painting tools, put on her backpack, and replied to Zhang Shuiying, go home. Zhang Shuiying asked, is your home far away? Lin Mengmeng looked at Zhang Shuiying and didn't know why she asked this, but she nodded and said, it's quite far. It's to the east of City A and it'll take 40 minutes to get there. Zhang Shuiying nodded and let out a That's indeed quite far away. Oh, by the way, didn't you tell me in the studio before that Tang Sun is very close to your home? Can you meet him on the way? Lin Mengmeng finally understood. Out of 10 sentences, 8 of Zhang Shuiying's words were inseparable from Tang Sun. I dare say that she was interested in Tang Sun, and now she always comes to her side to talk to her, completely to inquire about herself and whether she has any other thoughts about Tang Sun. She suddenly felt a bit amused. Just ask Tang Sun himself directly. Lin Mengmeng said, no, I haven't touched it at all. Indeed, it's like this. Lin Mengmeng didn't lie. She usually leaves very early, and the time is completely out of sync with Tang Sun. Tang Sun is always stopped by a few girls after school, either confessing or sending love letters. It's not very popular. Compared to Lin Mengmeng, it is really too bleak. After all, without comparison, there is no harm. She has a low sense of presence in the class, probably because she is short and small, so she has no friends, but a very good friend Zhao Lin is still in the next class. The art teacher in the next class is also a teacher who likes to drag the hall. Usually, she is half an hour later than other studios to give them ideological education. Zhao Lin has complained with her about this many times, so that the time when Zhao Lin and Lin Mengmeng go back together is so staggered. Zhang Shuiying tilted her head and then shifted her gaze to Tang Sun. Tang Sun was standing by the door, leaning slightly against the edge of the door, and looking out of the hallway outside the classroom with her head tilted. It seemed like she was thinking something, but she knew that Tang Sun was waiting for Lin Mengmeng, waiting for them to say something good. It's already dark, and the students who clean the classroom have already turned on the incandescent lights. Tang Sun, come over here. Zhang Shuiying suddenly felt very uncomfortable in her heart, so she waved at Tang Sun. Tang Sun tilted his head and looked towards this side. What's going on? Zhang Shuiying smiled and said, we were talking about you when we happened to talk about Lin Mengmeng and your neighbor. We asked if you were together after school, but Mengmeng said you never met on the road, so I asked you directly. Is that really the case? Tang Sun did not directly answer, and then what? The expectant expression on Zhang Shui's face suddenly stiffened. She turned her head to look at Lin Mengmeng. Lin Mengmeng shrugged her shoulders, carrying a backpack, and said to Zhang Shuiying, you guys talk first. I'm going home, it's getting late. Goodbye. Then he walked out of the classroom in front of Tang Sun. Once he walked out of the classroom and breathed in fresh air, Lin Mengmeng truly breathed a sigh of relief. The classroom was very stuffy. Although the door was open, she felt suffocated because of those two people around. It's better to be alone. Lin Mengmeng thought this way and couldn't help but accelerate his pace. In the classroom, Tang Sun saw Lin Mengmeng leave and turned around to leave, but was stopped by Zhang Shuiying at this moment. Tang Sun, Lin Mengmeng has already told me that she won't go out to play with you tonight, so you. She hesitated for a long time but didn't say what she said afterwards. Tang Xuanli ignored her and walked out of the classroom, leaving Zhang Shuiying stunned and feeling embarrassed, and angry. He stomped his foot in place and followed after her with some reluctance. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Forever Only She Has to Accompany. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Forever Only She Has to Accompany. She quickly ran to Tang Sun's face, stretched out her arms to stop her, and looked up at him with a small face full of complaints. Tang Sun, do you know that your behavior just now made girls feel like they were losing points? To ask you, you didn't respond to me. How could you do this? Between the words, there is a hint of girls acting coquettishly. Tang Sun looked at her and his voice became a bit cold. He said, "You want to say, Lin Mengmeng doesn't want to go out with me, so you happen to have time to come and accompany me, right?" "I'm sorry, I don't need any other girls to accompany me yet. She will always be the only one to accompany." There was no one else besides Lin Mengmeng who Tang Sun was talking about. Zhang Xueying stood there in a daze, not sure if it was because Tang Sun spoke out what she wanted to say directly. At this moment, her face gradually blushed and her speech became stuttering. She tried hard to explain, I didn't, I just. Speaking later, Zhang Xueying became stuttering again. In an instant, due to a wave of grievance climbing up her heart, coupled with the frustration of being punctured, Zhang Xueying's eyes instantly turned red and tears were on the verge of falling. Tang Sun walked around her expressionless, completely ignoring her current emotions. After all, he has seen this scene many times and his heart has long been unshakable. Tang Sun walked lightly, and amidst the noise, Zhang Xueying suddenly felt that everything had quieted down. She heard Tang Sun's footsteps getting farther and farther, as well as his beating heart. Gudong Gudong, like the footsteps of Tang Sun, walked faster and faster. Zhang Xueying was a bit unwilling. Her tears were streaming down her face, and her lower lip turned white from biting. Because she was unwilling to hold on to the corner of her school uniform tightly, she turned around and saw half of his figure disappear at the staircase. He left. Why, Tang Sun wasn't like this before. When I paid attention to him before, she didn't have much contact with Lin Mengmeng. Why is it that today she thought that Tang Sun, who was so indifferent and independent, would not have any girls she liked? It wasn't until today that she realized she was wrong. Tang Sun, like such a person, she can't compare to her anymore. She is always better than her. Zhang Xueying reluctantly thought about it, but in the end, she followed and ran over. She raised her hand to wipe away the tears from the corners of her eyes and went downstairs to see Tang Sun's figure in front of her. Tang! Before the words could be finished, Zhang Xueying saw Tang Sun's body staggered, and Lin Mengmeng's figure was exposed in front of her. She didn't even shout out what was behind her. That day, Zhang Xueying's heart was shattered. From the beginning of school to class for over a month now, she first saw Tang Sun in the crowd. His tall stature and handsome and indifferent appearance completely met Zhang Xueying's standards for a perfect boyfriend. She began to pay attention to him and gradually developed a positive, optimistic, and positive student appearance because he was close to everyone, thinking that this would attract his attention. However, during this observation, she grew to like him more and more, always fantasizing about becoming his girlfriend and being envied by others. Unexpectedly, today, everything shattered. Tang Sun likes Lin Mengmeng, who is ugly, small, and short, not the optimistic and lively Zhang Xueying like her. She is really unwilling. Why would that be like this? When Tang Sun caught up with Lin Mengmeng didn't show much expression. Instead, he raised his face and asked him why he followed. Tang Sun said, "Didn't I tell you before that I would take you to play and have some fun tonight?" Lin Mengmeng looked at his face and said helplessly, "I've already told you before that I'm going home tonight and I'm not going anywhere." With these words, let's move forward with the flow. Tang Sun also followed up with a smile and said, "I know, but I must take you there." Lin Mengmeng didn't stop his steps. He turned his face to look at Tang Sun walking beside him, looking at him from top to bottom, hoping to see some clues. But Tang Sun has always been like before, perfect and without any flaws. Why? As I mentioned before, I noticed that your form today is not very good, so I want to take you to relax. Why do you have so much to ask? You know what I mean, is not that? Are you trying to say that the past me and the present me are different? Not really. Lin Mengmeng couldn't explain the strange feeling, and finally turned his head to look at Tang Sun and said, "I just feel like you've changed a bit." Tang Sun lowered his eyes and looked at Lin Mengmeng, who was shorter than him, staring at her tied-low ponytail and the small star hair accessory on her hair. His smile was shallow and his voice was faint. I haven't changed, I've always been that Tang Sun, what has changed is just this world. When this sudden philosophy came out of Tang Sun's mouth, Lin Mengmeng always felt something strange. But he still muttered a sentence. Bored. With these words, he quickened his pace and walked forward. The construction of this high school is not very large, but it is also not small. They walk slowly, each with their own worries, and walk heavily for about 10 to 20 minutes before reaching the campus gate. It is now the peak period after school, and students wearing school uniforms enter and exit, chatting in groups of 3 or 2, looking very comfortable. Only Tang Sun and Lin Mengmeng walked along, with a slight gap in between. Anyone with sharp eyes would feel that they were not simple. Tang Sun's unexpected attention may be due to his outstanding height and appearance. Everyone in high school knows that there is a handsome boy in the art class of the first year of high school. The school's forum is full of photos of others secretly taking pictures of him, such as his profile, sitting in front of the drawing board in class holding a pencil while drawing portraits, passing by the window and being secretly photographed lying on the table sleeping. Some even spread some gossip about him. He is said to be very popular, receiving a large number of love letters every day, various girl confessions, girls looking at him with love, and boys looking at him with envy. For example, now, when Lin Mengmeng and Tang Sun walked out side by side, it caused a considerable commotion. Some girls picked up their phones and started taking photos when they saw Tang Sun, while others noticed Lin Mengmeng next to him. Although they were puzzled, they also took photos together and posted them on forums, beginning to suspect their identity and promote them extensively. There were also some girls whispering and discussing beside her, with malicious eyes fixed on her, making Lin Mengmeng feel very uncomfortable. She had to quicken her pace, maintain a distance from Tang Sun, and fly out of the crowd, dragging her backpack and disappearing into the blue and white school uniform. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. How long will it take to come out? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. How long will it take to come out? Tang Sun knew that Lin Mengmeng was a timid girl in her heart. She had always been obedient and likable, unwilling to cause any trouble. She only wanted to go to school, study, finish school, and then go home with peace of mind. Her life was very routine. In middle school, because he had changed too quickly, he went from being a little black egg to becoming the object of everyone's admiration. He didn't even pay attention to these things. He only wanted to talk to Lin Mengmeng and play together, just like when he was a child. Unexpectedly, someone spread rumors about their relationship, and he gradually felt that Lin Mengmeng kept distancing himself from him. Until the end of the third year of junior high school, Tang Sun didn't say a few words to her. After finally getting information about her first choice from Zhao Lin, we went to the same school and studied art together, just like what God had arranged. Unfortunately, the two of us were still in the same class. Everything happened so well, and before Tang Sun could be happy, he had been cautiously in contact with her. Just as he thought everything was slowly returning to normal, something very difficult to understand happened to him. Tang Sun didn't know how long it would take for him to get out of this period of time. He stood there in silence for a moment, even though the group of people around him kept taking pictures, he didn't see anything. The gentle breeze blew his hair in front of his forehead and also stirred up a ripple in his heart. Some girls saw him standing there motionless and boldly came over, blushing and wanting his contact information. Tang Sun's eyes were fixed on the school gate, watching the unfamiliar male and female classmates walk out. No one knew what he was looking at or thinking, and even the girls who came over to ask for contact information felt very embarrassed. They quickly covered their faces and ran away. Tang Sun thought that he must follow Lin Mengmeng's side this time. Wherever she went, he would follow her. Lin Mengmeng ran a long distance and saw that he was far away from the school. He stopped and gasped for breath, thinking to himself that Tang Sun wouldn't be following him now. Her face turned red as she ran, sweat dripping down her temples from the edge of her forehead, and strands of sticky hair sticking to the edge. At that moment, she stood on the sidewalk and suddenly felt her heart empty. The wind blew through the rows of camphor trees planted on the roadside, and the leaves rustled together in a particularly rhythmic rustling sound. Birds were still singing along with the branches, and the sound was gentle and pleasant. Various models and colors of cars kept passing by on the road, and the roar was heard. All the voices gathered together, like playing a special piece of music in this summer, but unfortunately, the sun had already set and the surrounding light was getting darker, even the street lamps were suddenly lit up. Everything is like being pressed to open a key, everything is quietly slipping away. Lin Meng Meng stood there for an unknown amount of time, as if suddenly paused, but she suddenly reacted and lifted her foot to walk forward. She walked and thought to herself, telling herself to go home early. Her footsteps were slower than before, and the sky was getting darker and darker. The streetlights illuminated her, appearing dim and unclear. Lin Meng Meng usually takes the bus home, but unfortunately, the station sign is a bit far from the school entrance. Lin Meng Meng has already walked to the station sign and is standing there waiting for the bus. There are other people waiting around, including several students from the same school. Their faces were unfamiliar, and they looked like students from other grades. They talked and laughed, and even suddenly started playing around, looking very happy. Lin Meng Meng stood in a corner, quietly waiting for the bus, without paying any attention to what they were doing. The sky is getting darker, and the lights on the roadside are getting dimmer. They hit the camphor tree and cast a mottled shadow on the ground, which looks lifeless and fragmented. The bus came very fast, but it wasn't the one Lin Meng Meng waited for. The number 12 bus seemed to suddenly disappear. The group of students who were just frolicking next to her also gradually got into the car and disappeared from her sight. Tang Sun quickly came over and saw that Lin Meng Meng had not left yet. Suddenly, he breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Meng Meng didn't see him and still clung there. Tang Sun decisively pulled Lin Meng Meng's wrist, and this sudden action startled Lin Meng Meng. Her eyes were wide and round, like a frightened little rabbit. No. For bus suddenly arrived not far away. The driver, who was probably driving, saw a person standing on the side of the road, so he decisively stopped at the station sign and opened the car door. Lin Meng Meng instinctively wanted to struggle away from the hand he held onto his wrist, but Tang Sun pulled her directly onto the number 4 bus. The driver of the number 4 bus knew that the relationship between these two young people was not simple, and they must be in a relationship. However, he didn't mind it either. He closed the car door and drove forward without saying anything. Tang Sun took the money in and pulled Lin Meng Meng towards the back seat. Fortunately, there were not many people inside the number 4 bus. Tang Sun pulled the person to his seat and sat down, sitting next to Lin Meng Meng himself. Lin Meng Meng was already stunned by his series of actions from the beginning, forgetting even the struggle. Now she realized and looked at the constantly receding scenery outside the window, becoming anxious. She pushed Tang Sun, who was sitting next to her, but saw that she couldn't push him away. She widened her eyes and questioned, "What are you doing? You suddenly pulled me onto the number 4 bus, and you're crazy. Didn't I tell you I wanted to go home?" Because the voice was a bit loud, Lin Meng Meng appeared very excited and surprised the other passengers in the same car. They looked curiously, but only took a glance before quickly moving away. Tang Sun said, "Can't you accompany me once today?" His gaze was very sincere, and Lin Meng Meng looked at his heart pounding several times. The mottled shadows outside the window scattered all over his body, and the bus kept moving forward. Those shadows fell into Tang Sun's eyes, making him look even more affectionate. Lin Meng Meng averted her gaze and forced herself to stop looking at him, but still asked, "Why are you so persistent?" Tang Sun followed her words with a sigh and said, "I'm not stubborn anymore. Isn't that how we used to play together? I just wanted to play with you, but you always avoided me. Is it because I'm too excellent now that you don't think I deserve to play with you? After hearing these words, Lin Mengmeng instinctively raised his face and scolded him, "Why are you so narcissistic?" Tang Sun asked, "So, why are you hiding from me?" Lin Mengmeng choked up and said, "No, why did I hide from you?" Tang Sun said firmly, "Why not? Since the second year of junior high school until now, have you said you haven't avoided me? It's just because your classmates spread rumors about you and me, which makes you feel uncomfortable and impure. That's why you treat me like this." Lin Mengmeng, who was directly exposed to her worries, fell silent in an instant. She wasn't thinking about what Tang Sun said, but rather about where these 4 buses were going. When she got back home on the 12th bus, what time would it be? End of this chapter.